Honorable Tillman Thomas, Prime Minister, Honorable Joseph Gilbert, Minister responsible for telecommunications, other members of Cabinet, members of Parliament, Dr. Ember Charles, Managing Director of ECTEL, NTRC Commissioners and staff, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am honored to have been invited to chair this evening's activity, and it is with great pleasure that I welcome everyone here to celebrate with us the 10th anniversary of the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, NTRC, and the awards ceremony in recognition of this achievement. The theme chosen to mark the celebration of this milestone is Recognizing and Celebrating Achievements, 10 years of continuous growth in the ICT sector. And indeed, this evening, we are celebrating and will be recognizing those who blazed the trail, those who laid the foundation in liberalization of the telecommunications industry, so that today we can continue to grow and cut new paths in ICT services. The last decade saw a global shift towards privatization and liberalization of the telecommunications sector. In this region, and specifically in Grenada, we saw the birth of ECTEL and the NTRC. 2000 was the year when we saw the governments reducing their roles as owners and operators of facilities and placing new emphasis on the need to establish sustainable regulatory arrangements. The NTRC and other such regulatory bodies promote credibility with providers and investors, are perceived as legitimate and fair in the eyes of the public, and deliver greater efficiency for the economy as a whole. Regulators play a critical role. A key factor influencing the implementation of reforms is the ability of institutions to effectively perform regulatory functions in the presence of pressures from government ministries, the private sector, consumers, and other interest groups. Regulators must navigate through all of this, resisting the pressure, avoiding the obstacles, and satisfying everyone. Since 2000, the Act governing the telecommunications industry here in Grenada has been the same. With convergence of so many areas of technology, the existing laws need to be changed in order to keep in step with rapidly unfolding technology, and new laws are to be introduced. ECTEL and the NTRC shall soon begin public consultation on the proposed Electronics Communications Bill, intended to wholly replace the existing Telecommunications Act of 2000. The active participation of government, and specifically the Cabinet of Ministers, is crucial and critical in moving forward successfully. Today, as our government has given ICT services a more prominent role in the development of our country and has named it a key sector, not just an enabler of growth in other sectors, but as a sector in itself. The role of the NTRC will be very important in ensuring that the sector is properly regulated so that all stakeholders will benefit. Now that the government has talked the talk, we anticipate that it will walk the walk and take the action needed to ensure that the legislation is in place so that indeed we can take full advantage of the opportunities presented to us through the use of ICT services. And I refer here specifically to 6 distinct pieces of legislation aimed collectively at reducing internet crime, enhancing internet security while preserving individual rights, making government and/or official information and documentation more readily accessible, and promoting speedy and efficient business activity via the internet. Legislation covering cybercrime, privacy and data protection, freedom of information, interception of communications, electronic transactions, and electronic evidence. We cannot speak of growing the sector without these pieces of legislation being in place. The proposed Electronic Communications Bill and the pieces of legislation just mentioned will be the platform to launch our continuous growth, both as NTRC and as a nation. As we close our first decade and move into the second, we look forward to all of us working together to make this happen. Over the past 10 years, many persons have contributed to the success of the NTRC. Our commissioners, the staff, the government, both ministers and public servants, the providers, and many others who, in their own way, helped to get us to where we are today. An organization on which the NTRC has depended is ECTEL. Through the years, ECTEL has given guidance and support to the NTRC and contributed in a huge way to its success today. Today, ECTEL is being led by a brilliant son of the Caribbean, a St. Lucian by nationality, a Caribbean citizen by his work. It is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Ember Charles, the Managing Director of ECTEL, to make some remarks.
Just a few days ago, we received a note from the NTRC Grenada, where it informed us at its 93rd meeting it had taken a decision to provide critical support to a strategic review of ECTEL and the NTRCs. Of what significance is this to us? The 93rd meeting of the NTRC. And I want to focus on the number 93. In today's world where we have institutions coming and going at the flash, being around for 93 meetings is quite a feat. And you could consider it as 93 years in an organization's life. The fact that the NTRC has survived 93 meetings, 10 years, and we haven't had any legal squabbles in the telecoms landscape is significant, and I think deserving of a round of applause signifying the work of the NTRC in Grenada. Likewise, at the regional level, the ECTEL Board of Directors again for just 10 years, has met 53 times. And even at a higher level, the Ectel Council of Ministers has met 22 times. I put this figure to you because if you compare meetings of the wider regional body of CARICOM, where ministerial bodies are to meet, you will realize that 22 times for a ministerial body to meet is quite a feat. And this illustrates the level of importance that has been put on the issue of governance of the regulatory institution, notwithstanding the fact that we pay attention to very critical and important regulatory decisions, but the question of governance is also at the heart of the success of Ectel and the NTRCs. Today, however, is NTRC's day, and I want to just, on behalf of the management, the board, and staff of Ectel, to extend sincere congratulations to the NTRC. We have just perhaps settled, or the dust rather has settled, on the first set of battles of liberalization, when we probably have swept under the carpet or outside of the door some of the squabbles that we have had with incumbent providers and some of the old paradigms of regulating telecoms. Today, as we turn the leaf, we're looking towards a new set of battles. And this perhaps calls for renewed leadership by the existing NTRC leadership and also by potential leadership of the NTRC in the future. I want to also congratulate specifically Dr. Thomas, Spencer Thomas, who either by design or default has been at the helm of the Commission since its inception. Having had that perception, first and foremost, in the initial stages when we set up the Telecoms Reform Project, he served as a consultant in various capacities, has remained somewhat of an elder in the regulatory environment, and continues to share his wisdom with all the newcomers around us, not only at the NTRC level, but also at Ectel. And I would wish perhaps he should take a round of applause on behalf of commissions of the With these brief remarks, I also come bearing great gifts. And first and foremost, I would like to invite the chairman, or he may designate someone, first to receive a plaque, and also Ms. McPhail, could you come up, please? On behalf of the Ectel Board of Directors, to the NTRC. The second token of our gratitude and appreciation of the work of the NTRC is really something of a Bristol board, a poster board of the timeline of achievements of the regulatory system from 2000 to 2010. And again, I would like to invite Dr. Thomas to receive this.